Hey, new fingertip handle here. Alright, here is the old one, and this old one did this kind of function. As you can see, it had this one function. Alright, but the new one, this has actually 4 different functions. And it's even better with the old function also. So, with the old function, with this, you can use this new handle with the old function by doing this, putting this behind your hand, like so, and attaching this handle to the pulley, like so. Now you are using now it performs the first function, which was the same as with this. And with the first function, you have the trap go behind your hand, like so. And here you have different holes where you can put this trap. All right. First function. Second function is with, you know, like this when it is talked about that you shouldn't squeeze your opponent, like you shouldn't hold on, like some people have, not only me but others also have articulated this point, so that you just keep your fingers stiff, locked in here, as if not allowing movement to any direction, but you are not actively doing this. You are not actively squeezing somebody's hand. You are just holding it in this position, but not holding on. And why you do this is that when you arm wrestle, you lock this position in, so that when you do your back pressure or whatever, pull, you are also able to slide on the opponent's hand. So, but if you squeeze, you lock your grip and the position on the opponent's hand, which then doesn't allow you to climb higher. But if you just lock this angle in and not squeeze, but just keep this locked like this, you are able to prevent them bending your wrist back, but also you are also able to slide on their hand. So the second function of this is to simulate that kind of a situation. So what you do if you want to train this with this second function is you, instead of grabbing the handle like this, where this would go here on your palm, you put the edge of this handle on between the calluses and the fingers. Like here is the line, like here. Here. So that it's like this. You can see your calluses, it pivots over this point. Alright? And then you put your trap so that the trap is now between your door knocking knuckles and your punching knuckles, there is the trap. First setup, it was here, in the back of your hand. Now it's between the door knocking knuckles and the punching knuckles. And then you put this here, like I told you, and you tighten this strap so that it's now like so. So now what you have going on is your hand is in this pinching position now. And you can train this pinching position strength, which is a lot tighter angle than with like this setup was. Your hand is like this in the first setup, whereas in the second setup it's more like this, a lot tighter, like so. Like so. Now you can hold on to this pinching position. So you can see maybe. I have a lot tighter like position here, which is also a position where you want to get strong, not only on this a little bit more open hand. Alright, this was the second what you can do with this. And now the third, the static hold here was the second you could do with it. Third thing you can do with it is dynamic movement. And this dynamic movement is allowed because this is so thin. And also because you have pivoted it here and with having the trap here. All this plays together to this, being able to do this third motion, which is dynamic training with the second function, like so. You are able to isolate the fingers with this dynamic movement. And which is greatly abled because of this very narrow blade here. It's able to pivot over this point. You could move this maybe a little bit so that it doesn't click on it, like so. Yeah, so that's the third function. You're able to dynamically train your fingers. Alright? Then the fourth function, which you can use to train this, is this like this position in which there is no torque created. Which is the position where you put your fingers on the same line as this trap. Like between the trap there is a magical invisible line. And on this line the pull happens. The force is pulled. When you are pushing from this exact line, there is no torque created to this handle. So you are able to train your fingers without there being any torque. As so. Notice that I'm not holding on to this handle with my thumb. Only with the fingers. This mimics now a this 6-inch rolling handle is what this now mimics. Alright, so that was the fourth thing what you can do with this handle when this only has one function. Alright, Alright, now then, you might ask, what torque? What is this torque thing about fingertip handles? Alright, so the principle here is that when you have a stick like this, for example, and you are applying a force to the stick, so that here comes the force, and two opposite forces which are not aligned, like one force and the second force, and they are not aligned. They cause a torque to this handle, which object which turns it around, creates a spin to it, like so. So this kind of a situation always happens when you have a fingertip handle, when the force pulls from above the point where your fingers are applying the force. So you can think about this as if like so. You have a handle like this, and now you can think about that here your fingers are pushing in from here, and the rope is pulling from here. The point now where the rope is pulling is further away than where the fingers are pushing in. Hence, in this handle, torque is created, which tries to turn it now like so. You see that it's not stable only with your fingers, like was the case with this setup, where this is totally stable if you just apply force here. As you can see, you apply force here, it's totally stable. It does not have torque to it. It doesn't try to rotate like this. Which happens with this tool. Because your fingers are applying the force here, the force is pulling on the point which is over the fingers, torque is created. In this, the torque is cancelled a bit with this grab, but in some instances or models of this, people don't have even the trap there, so they just hold on to it like this, in which case the thumb is a third force which prevents the torque from turning the handle. Here is the force which turns the handle, and here is your fingers. Fingers come here and like so. And the base of the thumb is now here, third force which prevents the turning of the handle. So there is actually three forces applied. Three forces in action in a board handle like this, where the force is pulling from above the point where the fingers are applying the force in. This has now three forces, which the two above here create the torque, which the third one has to cancel out, which is usually the base of the thumb. So these are not so ideal, these torque creating solutions. If it's just your thumb which has to cancel the torque out, since then the thumb becomes the limiting factor in the handle, and not possibly your fingertips. Like if you would train like this, with this kind of setup, it might be that this is hard to keep this edge here. So it might become unstable. So that's why I also wanted to include this feature to it, where torque is not created. You can totally forget about your thumb being a limiting factor and you can just focus on the fingers. As if training with a huge handle like this. If this would be your spinning handle, you could also train it like this without the thumb. Because you are now applying the force from the same point where the handle is pulling. Like this kind of circular spinning handle, the handles apply the force from the center point. And if you just apply with your fingers a force opposite to that from the center point of the handle, it doesn't rotate. It doesn't create a torque to it. So you are not needing to use your thumb. All right. So that's the reasoning behind the torque creating thing. All right. And then what is this? All right. So basically, we have just going on here is a trap, like so, which you can choose to put wherever of these holes. And there is holes, which are 6mm holes. Then you have a little gap here. And the gap is meant when you put the fingers so that the strap can lock into these little gaps here. And what this piece is, it's just taken from a pipe like this. This is 6-inch pipe, which has a 4mm thick. The pipe is 4mm thick from the material. And this is just a section from a pipe like this. All right? You just cut it out, and then you have this handle. And you drill the holes, and there you go. All right? If you have and this, if it's 6 or 5 or 7, depends about what kind of arch you want it to have. I wanted it to have an arch like this, so I chose the 6-inch pipe to make this out of. And how did I choose it? How did I determine what kind of handle I wanted? Was I took different sizes of these pipes and I put my hand next to it like so. Now you can see that my fingertip are now exactly on the point which would be the center point of this pipe if it would be a spinning handle. As you can see, they now just about reach the point where the pull would happen, which is ideal. Because if this now would be so, if this diameter would be smaller, my hand would go over it, and hence the force would not be applied to the fingertips. And if this would be bigger, my hand could not reach the middle point, which would mean that this would create a torque and it would escape my hand like this. So that's why I chose by my own hand the 6-inch pipe to make this out of. Because now, as you can see, it nicely reaches just on the top part, as if it would be a pipe. And then you just put the trap from that hole you want. Alright? Now you might ask that, could I make something with that? Does it have to be this solution? Can I make these 4 things? Can I achieve these 4 functions of this handle without this handle? And the answer to that is yes, you can. Like, for example, you can have a board handle like this, super simple. All right, the first function was the same same setup as what this did. All you need to do is take this, like so, put your hand here, put this behind your arm, put this over this, and now you have the same setup. And you can train it. My nut came loose here. Let's put it back. So, you could have a board handle like this. You put it like this, and these go over this. And now you have the same function as with the this. You have there, this, and obviously you could make this out of a strap, so it would be not comfortable more here than a rope. This was the first function, and then the second function was the pinching hold, and that you can achieve by doing this like so. If you want it to have now a shorter lever, you do it like this. Or if you have a longer lever, you can do it like this. Now I'm holding it so that my thumb is not straight, but like this, so that I can have a tighter fit. Because this handle is not actually, this is kind of a lot thicker than this material. So you want to get a tighter fit for your fingers. So you keep your thumb bent in, like so. Not like this, like this. So now you can also train this position with this kind of setup. And then the third function was the dynamic movement with this kind of setup. With this you have to make sure that this strap is actually tight here. Because it partially holding on your hand on this handle. Like so. Now you can do the dynamic movement with this. And you need a trap for this. The rope is not very comfortable. Alright, that was the third function. And then the fourth function was just the setup where torque is not created. And this you can achieve by having the holes for the rope a little bit further away. So that when you put your hand here, your fingers are now at the same line as this rope is. Like so. My holes are now little bit too low on my hand. So ideally you would maybe have the hole here, so that the pull would happen from the fingers. So, but I'm just demonstrating with this board now that you could achieve these same functions with this board also. But I still think that this is a lot better because it gives you a nice round profile. That's the first. Secondly, it's metal. So you can use magnesium with it so that you can grip it better. And thirdly, it's thinner material. It's hard. This will not break nor bend because it's like 4mm steel that it will hold all kind of abuse and last a long time. And also because it's as thin, you can put the thumb, you can get this position real this pinching position real tight on it. And all this will feel a lot natural because you have the curvature to it. Alright. So this is the new fingertip handle I made. And that's it. Bye.